it just felt like I was living this lie because I was trying to eat between 800 and 1200 calories. And I was at the gym for like 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. It was crazy. Like I was just killing myself.
Welcome to Sips and Sets. I'm your host, Nina and Leeor, and this podcast is all about combining the energy of your morning coffee with the determination you put into living your best life. Sips and Sets is here to inspire you to tackle life head on, one sip and one set at a time. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sips and Sets podcast. I'm your host, Nina and Leeor, and so excited for today's episode with the wonderful Leeor Kelly from LKW Coaching. Oh my gosh, so excited. So happy to have you here, guys. You don't understand. Leeor is someone who started with me as a client. Oh my God. Was it 2019 or 2020? I can't remember. It's going way back.
It literally feels like a different version of me, it's a whole other chapter of my life when you met me and like you saw me kind of like caterpillar into this butterfly. But yeah, I think it was 2020. I think it was right at COVID.
That's right. Like the start of 20, I remember now. Okay. So I want to start there because now you're this successful coach with this thriving business and you're a mom now as well. So we've been through a lot of different transformations with you over the years. And we actually just finished up working together recently, like really recently. So it's been I've seen you go through everything and I'm so excited
So
to
much.
so much. Like, there's not going to be any TMI today. We've gone through the nitty gritty, but it's been incredible to see your journey and you flourish. So I want to share some of your story with everybody because you guys need to hear this. Like you really do, especially if you're someone who's just starting and you feel either stuck or you're like, how am I going to get to the other side of things? Like Leeor is just the most incredible example of what can actually be achieved. So let's start with you. Tell me, what was life like? Let's rewind a little bit further. What was life like before you started fitness coaching with me? And like, where were you at? Like, what made you take that initial first step as well?
Sure. So I was a full-time Pilates instructor living in DC, right? So I was already in the fitness space, but I felt, let's see, 2020, how old was I? I'm not going to be able to do the math right now. I think I was 33. Oh my gosh, or 32, whatever. Anyway, I felt like such an imposter because here I was like living this fitness lifestyle of being this Pilates instructor, teaching 20 classes a week. But secretly, I had such a deeply unhealthy relationship with food, with my body. I was constantly trying to lose those last 10 pounds and going to extremes to do it, like every freaking fad diet I did. And when I reached out to you, I was actually working with another coach that was amazing. She didn't give me a lot of the whys behind why we were doing things. And I was at a point where I was like lying to her. First time I'm admitting it, because I was like telling her I was eating more than I actually was, because I was trying to eat between 800 and 1200 calories. And I was at the gym for like 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. It was crazy. Like I was just killing myself. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. And I remember like just having, I mean, this sounds so dramatic looking back and compared to who I am today, but like I would have like breakdowns about just being like, I'm never going to be able to be that girl that can just like eat a burger on a date and not worry about it. Or like I was so, I had chained myself to what I was eating, how I was eating, and how much I was exercising. And I was like killing myself with little to no results.
I need, that was a lot.
I know.
Like
I'm
I
sorry.
remember, but it's just refreshing. And I'm like, oh, I forgot the 800 calorie part.
Oh,
Like, and I've been there too. Like that is the most miserable place to be, like doing that. And then just being like, why am I not seeing a result? I'm eating nothing. I'm killing myself. And
Yep.
like you said, like I'm meant to be helping other people and I can't even help myself. Like, how did that
Yeah.
feel?
It just felt like I was living this lie, and I just felt like I remember vacillating between, oh, I'm just broken. Like, I'm just going to be like this forever. I'm just going to be like a little bit chubby. I'm never going to look like a Pilates instructor, was kind of how I saw it. Or I can keep, like, I was like, okay, like that's it. Like I would vacillate between like resignation, like I just wanted to resign to it and just be like, fine, this is just who I am. I have to accept it. And it was a very resentful resignation between that and, but what if there's something that I'm just not getting? And that was when I reached out to you because I had heard about Lane Norton, and you were working for him at the time.
Mhm.
And so I started listening to some of his stuff because my coach had mentioned a reverse diet, and I remember the idea of it. And I remember being petrified at the idea of eating more food. And I was just like, there's no way, like, there's no way I could eat 2,000 calories um, and not like gain 30 pounds of fat. Like, I was at the point where I felt like if I had a cookie, everything was over, like it was all ruined. Um, so I had reached out to you because I knew that if I was going to try this approach, which I'd never tried before, I like needed guidance. And your story spoke to me because I saw your transformations. I saw like where you were at too in different parts of your fitness journey. And I was like, okay, she gets it. Like she won't judge me, like she'll understand. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I love that. It's scary when you are getting told that, girlfriend, you need to eat more food. Like you can't stop here, but you're stuck in that place of, but I only know this. And I'm terrified of changing it in the fear of gaining weight. Like I was there too, like, and that mindset, it's not as simple as someone just saying, well, this is what we have to do. You just have to eat more.
Right.
And you're like, well, I can't do that because I'm going to just balloon and I'm terrified of that. And I've been fighting that and all these food rules we already have in place. And it actually sounds similar to me in the fact that you get to a point where you mentioned like Pilates and you're like, I'm going to resign because I just kind of don't really look, I'm not feeling the part. And sounds like you place a lot of self-worth on your body and like how your body looked as well, because you literally were like, I can't teach these women Pilates, which is what you're doing at the time, because I don't look the part. Despite all
Yeah.
the amazing knowledge you had, you know,
Yeah,
and
I remember just being like, oh, people are going to be disappointed when they come into my class and see me. They're going to be like, well, why am I here if she looks like that? I was so self-critical and so unkind um to myself. And like, for what? I just used it to beat myself up a hell of a lot.
yeah, seriously. And it's so interesting because like as women, I think, that was still more earlier days of social media and everything where the fitness industry was very different then. I still think to today as well. Like now we're making a really good shift, I feel, slowly. But then it
Yeah.
was just like every fitness either coach or influencer, and I've been guilty of this too. You are promoting your, I guess, your services, your product, whatever you're kind of trying to do through your body and how you look.
Yeah.
And that was me too for a long time. So when you're seeing all of that through like social media and everything, and then you start to feel like, well, I don't look the part that everyone else is looking like. How am I going to do that? So you were kind of stuck in that kind of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the time too, I think most coaches were like physique competitors or had been physique competitors. So as like a Gen Pop person, as someone who like never competed, but always envied the look of physique competitors, like, and who wrongly thought that you can maintain physique like that year round. um, I just thought like, oh, okay, like I'm just going to listen to whatever she says because she looks that way, or what he says because he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was never, it wasn't healthy. There weren't the amount of coaches there are today promoting like healthy body image and healthier physiques. So yeah, at the time too, it was just like, oh, I'm not good enough, and what do I know because I look like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Which we now know is totally incorrect, right?
Right.
Well,
Correct.
it's so interesting when you came to me, I remember because you did come from that. I'm eating like 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And
Yep.
we had a very tough conversation initially. I remember saying to you, listen, and you were like, I want fat loss. And I was like, whew, okay, well, these are the things we have to consider. Like, we have to consider that one, maybe you're not eating that little, maybe you are eating more. And if that is the case, then maybe fat loss is a possibility, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, you have to be prepared for the idea that if you are in fact eating this little, we can't jump right into fat loss. Like, it's not a healthy thing for you. We need to work on reversing all those adaptations your body has done to like maintain you at that little calorie intake. And that would involve increasing your calories over time for a number of months before we look at fat loss. And
Yep.
tell me, I remember that conversation. I know it was a very tough conversation for you. Tell me how that made you feel.
It's so funny because we've talked about this in the past, like after we became friends and stuff. I remember you telling me like, man, I was a little bit like I was like you empathized for me because I think you as a coach, which I get this now, like you as a coach wanted to give me what I wanted, which was fat loss, but you understanding the science behind energy balance and all of that, knew that if I was really consuming that low of calories, there was no way that we could pursue fat loss at that time. And I remember receiving your information. So yes, I was in an emotional state when I reached out to you, but I think there's this part of me that's also very pragmatic, and you spoke to that part of me. Like you were able to lay it out so clearly and so effectively that I just trusted you. I was like, okay, like we're just gonna have to do this. Like I'm gonna put my head down and get to work because I think you laid it out really well. I think you even said this. You were like, look, you could go another year doing what you've been doing, or you can try this and it's different. And that really spoke to me because I was able to be like, think about how fast a year passes. Like you can look back a year from now and be grateful that you tried something new and be in a different position, be in a better position to finally lose that weight. Or you can just be like driving yourself crazy doing the same shit. And I just knew that I couldn't keep doing that to myself anymore. I mean, like my whole quality of life was going down the drain. So I do definitely credit you because you were so clear, you managed my expectations, and you had the right amount of empathy for me to be like, okay, take my hand, like let's do this.
It's such a testament to you to be like, I'm gonna surrender and do something different, even if it's scary, because you're just stuck in that cycle. Okay, I want to fast forward a little bit because we
Sure.
did reverse diet. We ended up doing fat loss after that. I think we did another cycle of reverse diet, fat loss. Like we've done a couple of reverse diets by now.
Yeah.
What did life look like? And I'm talking like before being a mom. Let's like go up to like being pregnant because we did a couple of cycles of that.
Sure, sure.
What did you find that you never expected to happen?
Okay. The reverse diet blew my fucking mind. I just remember like every week writing or like reaching out to you and being like, oh my gosh, like I incorporated this food or like this food um and I'm not gaining weight. Like I remember initially I had lost a little bit, I think, and probably because I was like underreporting before I started working with you. Um but I'd lost a little bit of weight. So I was like, this is freaking great. Like you're telling me to eat. Like you were really great at meeting me where I was mentally, right? Like you were like, okay, there's no way I'm gonna get her to eat like 1,600 calories if she thinks she's eating 1,000.
Yeah.
So you really met me where I was. And I remember you were like, we're only adding 30 calories this week. And I was like, I can get on board. I can do that. And then week over week over week, I lost a little bit initially, and then I maintained, and then I gained a little bit, but it was nothing significant. Like it was over the course of a long period of time. And I think my weight went up like maybe like 3 pounds, maybe 5 pounds. Like it was nothing crazy. But I remember the biofeedback I was getting from my body, like having all this freaking energy at midnight and like being like bouncing around and being like, I need to reduce my coffee order. And like my husband just being like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like I had so much energy, and that was really impactful. Realizing that a large cold brew with 4 shots of espresso was not a normal coffee order. And just
No.
like not being constipated anymore. I mean, my body was so grateful for the food. It was just like, oh, thank God. And my energy, and like I was like tiptoeing into learning about energy balance and stuff. So I had learned about how energy in impacts energy out, but I like didn't really believe it. But then I was seeing it happening within my own body. Like the more food we implemented, the more energy I had. And I was just like, holy hell, I'm not such a bitch. I'm just hungry. Like I thought I was just so irritable. I remember like teaching a Pilates class and having all this patience and kindness in the class. And I was like, oh, I was just hungry.
Just
Um,
hungry. Go figure. That's so funny. But it's so true. Like I, I see it still. I know you see it today too, because you work with a lot of women also. And it's like you're walking around low energy, feeling terrible, no libido, grumpy at the world, like hating life. It's like
yeah.
you need to eat a little more or train a little less if they're at the opposite end of the spectrum where they're like 7 days a week, balls to the wall.
Sure.
And then add in under eating on top of that, we have a whole recipe for feeling terrible. I love that. And I remember you being like, I'm eating burgers, I'm eating this. Like, I'm so excited to
Yeah.
like eat food.
I remember specifically like hitting around 1,500 calories and being like, I'm feeling really full. You were like, okay. And like, I remember you looking at my food logs and like recommending that because I was relying on so much like high volume, I was volume eating, I was relying on all these really, really low calorie, high volume foods. And you were like, maybe replace the riced cauliflower with regular rice. And I remember that just being mind blowing. I mean, like, that just is such a reflection of where my head was at. And I remember you said like you might need to eat something not so nutrient dense, but that's calorie dense, that's just easy for you to digest.
Mhm.
And I mean, not that you go around telling clients to eat Pop Tarts, but you were like, have a freaking Pop Tart, man. Like it's fine. And having a nutrition coach tell you like eat the damn Pop Tart was like the most mind-boggling thing to me, because up until that point I was like, I have to eat super clean, like no processed foods, no soy, no gluten, no dairy. Like I was so strict. Sorry, my computer just made a noise. And when the reality was like I was just so severely over restricting for so long that my body had just adapted and was miserable.
Isn't it wild? And before you guys come at me with the Pop Tart suggestion, you have to look at someone's nutrition as a whole. Like, what is she eating most of the time? What are we eating most of the time? And is it then okay to sprinkle in these
Right.
other foods if they're going to make you one, feel mentally better, but two, like again, helping your digestion? You weren't like consuming. I was like, your fiber is out of control. We got to like
Yeah. I
rein
was
it in,
probably eating
right?
like 40 grams of fiber a day.
Right, which for some people is fine, but it's not for everybody. It can be too
Right.
much, right? So I love that you started, what stands out to me so much is that you started becoming so much more in tune with actually how your body feels, because I feel like a lot of people, not just women, like everyone, once you're stuck in that like physique goal, I have to be leaner, I have to look like this, and you get so consumed in that side of things you forget it's like, oh, I need to actually honor how my body feels. Like, how am I feeling? Like, I don't need to push myself and force myself to eat these foods or do this type of training just to do the thing. Like, there is another way around it, and I need to feel good at the same time. And I think that was a huge impact for you to start seeing like, oh, I actually want to feel good. How do I want to feel? And asking those questions and kind of looking at
Yeah.
things in that light as well.
Just being so shocked at how quickly I felt so much better. Like just seeing the direct correlation and being like, oh, okay. And I think that really helped my process too, because then the more time we went through the reverse and the more food we added, the more positively my body was responding, the more committed I was, at choosing this new path, or the more trust I had in the process.
I love that. I feel like with you, it's like we've achieved many different goals. And
Yeah.
how did it feel for you to achieve the goal of one, like eating more food? And then secondly, you ended up dieting, like doing a deficit on, I think your deficit, the first eight was around 1,800 calories at one point that you were losing body fat on, which is what like, and you've achieved your body many times. And we had a baby in there, so we'll go back to that in a
Yeah.
second. That's why we've kind of done full circle. But how did it feel to achieve that, being like, I can eat more food and I'm losing body fat and I feel fantastic?
It was just, it was crazy. I remember like being so excited for the first round of fat loss, and it just feeling so easy. Like it just feeling like, oh, I can actually, like, I don't have to be so crazy, because I was so mentally restrictive in the past that, yeah, dieting on 1,700, 1,800 calories just felt like a breeze compared to what I was trying to beforehand. And at that point too, my relationship with food had improved so much. Like I had really discovered food freedom through reverse dieting with you, that I wasn't afraid to incorporate like a nightly treat for myself, and still make sure that I was eating nutrient dense foods and foods that were like high in, you know, I don't know, like high quality nutrient food, but like I I was still able to incorporate the foods that just like felt good for my soul, or like if I wanted a couple of French fries or something, and still make progress, like still lose fat, was so exciting and like such a relief. I was like, oh, I never ever thought that this would be possible for me.
I know, I love that. And it's like fat loss doesn't have to always be a miserable process. And I think a lot of
Yes.
people don't realize that. They're like, it has to suck. I have to feel terrible. I have to cut out everything I love for it to be successful. And you were like,
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Is it meant to be this easy? And I'm like, well, it shouldn't be super hard. Maybe towards the end, it gets more challenging, right?
Of course.
I
Yeah.
love that you were able to do that. I want to know, okay, you guys, Leor now, I have not had very many clients. I think it's you and one other person, but you in particular, because you have this amazing, thriving coaching business yourself. You're now a coach yourself. Like,
Yeah.
and that to me is so cool to be like, you came day one and now you're a coach helping other women. So I want to know more about like what inspired you in your own journey to like want to help others as well. And you have this amazing, thriving business. Like, I love everything you're about and everything you're also doing. And it's just so cool to see like that progression. It's gone like literally beyond your own journey to wanting to impact other people's lives. Did you ever see yourself being a coach? And like, how did that come about? And yeah,
No,
tell me about that.
it was so wild. It's interesting. Well, I think my becoming a coach is truly a testament to how transformational my experience with you was, because it like truly changed my life for the better, that I was like, oh my God, more people need to know about this. Like, I just felt like, how many women do I hear talking about how they're starving themselves and like killing themselves at the gym, or terrified of bagels? And I just so desperately wanted to like hug every single woman I met, and to be like, it doesn't have to be like this. Like, you don't have to do this forever. And what's really heartbreaking for me is meeting women of older generations and hearing how like indoctrinated in diet culture they are, you know. But yeah, it was really working with you that inspired me, and you and I became like buds
Yes.
in coaching. that I was also at a point in my career too, where like I had hit the glass ceiling. I was so grateful for all my time that I had had at that studio, but I was looking for something like a little bit more flexible, something I could do from home because I knew that I did want to start a family. So it was a win-win because A, I just went through this experience that truly changed my life. I wanted to just like shout it out from the rooftops and tell everyone like, hey, we can change this. Like, you don't have to live this way. And B, just yearning to, you, the work that I had been doing was no longer that rewarding for me anymore. Uh, and it was restrictive in terms of just like scheduling, things like that. So I was like, oh, perfect. Like, I can help people. That will be so fulfilling for me. And it will give me some freedom to start a family one day and work from home. And like that's ultimately what I wanted.
I love that. That's so powerful. And I think like that's what makes you a great coach. Like I also came from that background. You go through your own struggle and you come out of it and you just think, oh, other women do not have to go through what I went through. Or if they have been there, like I know how to get them out of that. Like I know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel that they not maybe able, that can't get my words out, might not be able to see yet. And it's just incredible. So I'm so excited to see like your own journey brought you to a point where you're helping other women. I think it's amazing. We need to spread as much of that as
Yeah.
possible. Um, but you know what's interesting? I want to ask, like when we at the beginning of our conversation, you were saying in Pilates how you were like, I don't look the part. I can't do this anymore. I don't look right, right? How did you feel? How do you feel now? Or how did you feel later on? You know, because I know that definitely changed for you. So, what changed in the way that you viewed yourself?
Sorry, you broke up. How did I feel? How did my views of myself change?
Yes, because originally you were placing your ability to like teach class and help others solely on your appearance. So, how did that change?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm not gonna lie, of course, like, once I, well, A, going through the reverse and realizing that I had only gained like 5 pounds, but I also finally built the muscle that I was looking for too, which like I wasn't trying to look like a physique competitor, but like I don't know, it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. Like on one hand, eating more food helped me to build muscle so that my body composition really did change. And I was really excited to see like my shoulders developed, a little bit more after eating more food because I was just trying to diet and build muscle at the same time, which was impossible. Like that only works for so long. Um, so it was exciting. So A, my body image improved because like I was seeing physical changes that I had been wanting to see for so long. But B, my body image improved so much because I just learned to put less value on what it looked like in working with you and through like we went through a reverse. I also had like an appendectomy while working with you, like an emergency appendectomy. Like I had these health scares too in the process that just made me really appreciate every single thing that my body does for me all the time, despite what it looks like. And so it really, oh, now it's threefold. One, my body composition changed, so I felt more confident. Two, I let go of putting so much value on how my looks are and started focusing more on what my body does for me. And then three, just I felt more confident because I did something that was hard and different and scary and followed through on it and saw the results from that, like got like reaped the benefits from it. So sorry, that was a very worded, wordy answer.
No,
But
I
that's
love
where
that. I love
yeah.
that because you've gone from like just focusing on what my body needs to look like, and that's all that matters, and that's what is going to define me as a person and my ability to help others, to, hey, my body is so much more than just how I look. Yes, I can look good, but I want to feel good. I want to
Yep.
perform well, and I have all this amazing knowledge that I can share despite where I'm
Yeah.
at or what I'm working on with my body.
And I thought of you literally yesterday. I bought some clothes for this for summer, right? And like I got myself a short dress and I got myself shorts. And I know, like you know that in when we worked together, I was always really self-conscious of my legs and stuff. And I like popped the shorts on and looked in the mirror yesterday. And I literally was like, oh my gosh, Nina would be so proud because I just like don't care. Like I like my legs. I
Awesome.
think they look good. I was
Yeah.
like, I was even, it like took me all the way back to the beginning and then brought me back to the present. And I was like, your legs look freaking fine, man. Like, what were you so like bent out of shape about for so long? And I literally was like, I have to remember to tell her that, that
I
I like
love that. That's
ordered
amazing.
shorts.
You guys, this girl would not put shorts on. Like it was a huge, huge deal. This is a
Huge
beyond a huge deal. To hear you
deal.
say that and be like, I feel good, I look good. Like, oh my man, like that's incredible. Like I'm so excited for you. And
Yeah.
okay, I need to quickly talk about mum life.
Yeah.
How old I just turned 2.
I just turned 2.
Congratulations. You hit the
Thank
2
you.
mark. But oh my goodness. So the one roadblock we ever had, we had a bit of a stall. We were doing a fat loss phase, I remember. And you were like towards the end, you're like, oh, I just have a couple more pounds, like want to push towards. We couldn't get it off and we couldn't, and it was like, what's going on? Like we were trying to figure it out. And then lo and behold, you were like, I'm pregnant. Okay. So we changed obviously the strategy right away, right? Like
Yeah.
because you have to. But oh my gosh, talk to me about now having the perspective of being a mother and your health and fitness, how you view yourself, like what has changed?
Man, I just have so much respect and admiration for women's bodies. The things that we can do. Like I look at Aya every day and I'm like, I cannot believe I made you. Like you came out of me. It's so wild and she's perfect and she's beautiful and I want to be respectful and sensitive to like every woman's pregnancy journey and birthing journey because they all look so different and some women really struggle with different parts of it and I was very lucky I had a relatively easy pregnancy and delivery process um, so I I'm really really grateful for that but I was just so amazed um at how much our bodies can change, how much our bodies can do. And I remember uh throughout the pregnancy, yeah, we obviously switched strategies. We were like, yeah, we're not going to do fat loss anymore. And we reverse dieted through pregnancy. But it was so helpful to have you as a coach throughout my pregnancy too, because things change, like not dealing with nausea, fatigue, morning sickness. And there was still a part of me that was hard on myself in wanting to still incorporate as many nutrient dense foods as I was used to when not pregnant. And you were really helpful as my coach through that period too of like just giving me grace and reminding me, hey, this is what's happening behind the scenes in your body right now. Like here's why those foods might not be so palatable to you right now. Here's what we can do instead. And like having your guidance throughout that process as well, throughout the different stages of pregnancy. I remember the first trimester, I was just sick all the time. Second trimester, we really like rode that wave of energy and like we made my workouts more efficient and like just having you guide me. And at that point, I was coaching too, but I had never worked with anybody that was pregnant before. So like going through that experience with you as my guide, I it sounds so cheesy, but I felt so safe. I was like, okay, like I trust her. You were pregnant with your second,
Oh, yeah,
like
I was pregnant with
a
yeah. Oh my
few months ahead of
gosh.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was so there was just like a kinship between us where I just felt really like, okay, she's been through this before. This is her second go around. And you'd often be like, hey, every pregnancy is different. I'm noticing changes in this pregnancy compared to my last. And like you just continuously worked to meet me where I was. And then I had Aya And I think we took a break from coaching because we were like, let's just focus on the postpartum period. Like, I just want to be there for her. But then when I came back to lose the baby weight, I was so excited. And that was an even easier, like the most ridiculous fat loss phase. I remember just being like, Nina, this is insane. This is stupid. Like,
I
I'm
love
not
it.
even trying.
And obviously, like once you have a baby, it's you have to just you're not forcing anything, right? We're just
No,
working
no.
with you. But it's so incredible to hear that. It's the first, and you've only had the first pregnancy. I don't know if you'll have more. Obviously, we'll see. But
We'll see.
for anyone like going through their first pregnancy, or even if you've had more children and you want to reflect back, the first pregnancy I feel is one exciting. It's amazing if you're able to experience that. But also it's a wild change because I struggled so much with my first also and had nobody to lean on, going
Yeah.
from being this like elite athlete to then what do I do? My body's doing weird things, very weird TMI things that I'm like, huh, what is happening?
Yeah.
And you're like, what do I do? But you know, for you to be able to still work through that is amazing. And pregnancy is just a whole different ball game,
Yes.
mindset game. And you're like, what is going on with my body? How? But you know what? Once I think you postpartum and then postpartum too. Oh my gosh. For the record, I didn't really enjoy being pregnant either time to be. I had my moments of things I enjoyed. Again, being sensitive to other women. Like some people love it. I do understand it's definitely a privilege to be pregnant and be able to, you know, birth two healthy children. But I didn't have to
Sure.
love it at the same time. I don't have to love it. We don't have to love it. I did not love it. But postpartum is also like so hard. And I think until you experience it, as a mother, it's just like, what is this whirlwind no one prepared me for? Like,
Yeah.
what is happening? But I think what's wonderful, it does change your perspective so much on, like you said, your body, what it can do, what it's capable of. You're like, I just grew a human. What?
Yeah.
For one. Two, it just allowed it to heal, like, and you did all the right things, right, to help, you know, that along and to then go into I think one of the best shapes you've been in your life while raising a human. I think it's
Yeah.
incredible, but I think what it also does is put into perspective what's priority and what's important. I don't know about you, but for me it was very much like I don't have to be shredded and super lean all the time. Like it's not a priority. I want to feel energized. I want to feel good. I want to look fit. I want to feel fit, but it just changes so much. And also how I want to talk about my body in front of my daughters and how I want to like talk about food and show them how to be healthy too. Like all of that for me was so different. I don't know if it was the same for you.
Yeah, no, you're reminding me of like this breakdown that I had before I initially reached out to you. Of I just like was like crying on the bathroom floor, like not feeling confident in anything I wanted to wear. I was about to go on a date with my husband, and like I didn't even want to go out, which it's so funny because there's a part of me, I hear that, and a part of me is like, get it together, Leor. It wasn't that serious. Like, but then there's another part of me was like, that girl was just really sad and not, and lacked so much confidence for whatever reason. And it manifested in body image, right? But I remember in that moment sitting there and thinking, like, I can't keep doing this because if I have a daughter one day, I will never forgive myself if she learns this from me. I will absolutely like just be so angry at myself if my daughter hates her body the way that I have hated mine. And so that thought really triggered me, or like was the impetus for me to tell myself, okay, a change needs to happen. And now, yeah, as a mom, it's ridiculous. I'm like promoting food neutrality around my 2-year-old and encouraging her to learn about like what is nutrient dense and what are some fun foods, and like to ask herself if her belly is full and like to tune in with herself. And it's just I am such a different mom now because I went through that process, and I'm such a healthy mom of being like, yeah, I can, like she wants to feed me a piece of her cookie, I can eat a bite of her cookie and not shame myself or tell myself that I need to spend another hour on the treadmill because of it. You know, it's such a difference, and I feel so strong too, right? Because like throughout my pregnancy, I was training. Postpartum, I think like 12 weeks, or I mean, every body, every woman, every mom is different, but I think 12 weeks postpartum, I started rehabbing my body again. And like now we've just been working on getting into continuous rhythm with training. And like, yeah, carrying my 30-pound baby, we live in a townhouse. So like carrying her up 2 flights of stairs,
Oh
like, I
my
feel
gosh.
so good.
It's incredible. I love that. I'm the same with the girls, and it's just so many things. I feel like you start to reflect on your own, I guess, journey with your relationship with food and yourself, right? That's essentially what it is. And how you don't want them to go through that. You reflect and you go, how was I the one doing this to myself? Like, what a horrible thing. You would never do that to your best friend or a family member
Yeah,
or speak to them in that way. And it's like, I don't want to speak to my girls that way or them to ever hear me say anything in that way. I love it. It's just, that's a whole nother podcast, I
I
think,
know, I
a
know.
whole nother topic of conversation, but I just love where you are now. Like it's just such a wonderful, healthy, balanced space. Did you ever feel like you would get here?
No, I mean, I really, I know I answered that really quickly, but truly, I just thought for so long. And so that it's a conversation I have with a lot of with potential clients that I talk to now, when they are just feeling so lost, so overwhelmed. I'm just like, I know exactly how you feel because I was there too. And I'm telling you, it is literally rainbows and sunshine on the other side of it. It takes time, right? Like that's, I think, the hardest for people to wrap their heads around is uh changing your relationship with food, changing your relationship with your body. It's not something that's just going to happen in 6 weeks, 12 weeks. And I think people need kind of like a reality check, but a lot of things can happen in that time. And again, like what you told me in our first conversation is this year can go by and you can do the same thing and stay stuck where you are, or you can try something new. So, but I just remember never ever, I could never imagine myself here. And now I'm just like, I'm that girl that this sounds so ridiculous, but like, okay, here, quick side note. I was always envious of girls who could like eat a snack and not finish it. Do you know what I mean?
I know
Like
what you mean. Yes.
I grew up with a sister like that. She'd like open up a bag of Doritos and have like 2 Doritos and forget about it. And food focused, deprived Leor was like, that's crazy. How do you not just eat the whole thing, eat everything in sight as soon as you let yourself have it? And I have become that girl where like we have snacks in our pantry and cookies and stuff. And I'm just like, it doesn't have an effect on me. I'm like, cool, that's food. Like I can have it if I want it. I'll have it when I want it. Right now, I want to have this banana, and that's also fine. Like it's just such a revolutionary idea. Like it's so different from who I was for so long.
I'm just, you guys are sitting here smiling so hard because I know like the struggle of where you started to see where you're at now. It's like,
It's
I'm just
great.
so
It's night and
excited.
day.
Like it's so exciting. It's like I just want to scream that from the rooftops. Like I know you do. It's like, ah, you can do it, you guys. It can be done. But it does take time, patience, hard work, but it's doable, right? Like it's
Yeah.
doable. Oh my goodness. Okay. So for anybody sitting on the fence right now who's like, I want to make a change. I'm scared to maybe do something different, or I'm scared to invest in myself because that's a big one. You hear that all the time. It's like we don't always see the value of why we should invest in our health, but we go and buy the dress or get our hair done, nails, and all the things. It's like,
Yeah.
what would you say to someone who's on the fence and thinking about taking the next step, but maybe is just kind of stuck?
I mean, I would I would say like if this is so painful for you that it's even a thought, like right, if you're even considering it, then that means that some pain attached to where you're currently at, right? Um, and sure, for some people, at least some of the women that we work with that aren't like in need of extreme weight loss for their health or whatever, right? Like I'm just talking to like the average woman who's just never felt confident in herself, wants to lose the last 5 to 10 pounds and is thinking about it, but is like, I don't know if it's worth the investment, or I don't know, I'm scared, I can't imagine. Like if you're considering it, it means there's a pain there, and you can go your entire life just kind of having that pain. That pain will likely increase. It will increase because you're going to get older. Your body's going to be less responsive the more you do the same things that you've been doing that used to work and probably no longer work. So, like, do you want to live with pain all your life, whether it's physical or emotional, that's guaranteed to grow as you age? Or can you just take this chance on yourself, spend like 1 year of your life really committed to this thing, and you could benefit in ways that aren't even on your radar from where you're currently at, you know? So I don't know if that was clear enough, but like I'm really solution oriented. So I'm just like, if there is a problem, here's the solution, apply it and it will be fixed. Trust the process, do the work, ask questions, get honest with yourself, be vulnerable. And like you'd be so shocked at who you can transform into.
Absolutely. I love that perspective on it. It's kind of like choose your hard, right? Like it's hard to
Yes.
stay stuck and it's really hard to still stay in that pain. It's also hard to change. I think it comes to a point where you have to choose what is harder. What's going to be harder in like 5 years, 10 years from now? Like, what does that actually look like? But I love
Yeah.
that because I just see you and I'm like, imagine if you hadn't taken a step to take care of yourself. Like, where would you be now? What would that look like?
It's so hard to even imagine her because it's just so different from who I am today. Like I could be still working at the Pilates studio, just secretly hating my body every time I looked in the mirror, feeling like a fraud, maybe raising my baby in an unhealthy, like, you know, whether consciously or unconsciously showing her my unhealthy relationship with food, and therefore she absorbs that information, right? And like it's honestly heartbreaking. It breaks my heart to see how many women who are there, because I literally feel like I stepped through like a portal or something, and I'm like I can see them on the other side, and I'm like, come here, there's sun.
That's
Yeah,
all
that
it
sounds
is, yeah.
so cheesy, but like truly, sunshine and rainbows on the other side is how I explain it to people. And speaking to someone pragmatically, like if you want to speak to someone's practical side, is think about how fast 6 months goes by, how fast a year goes by. That
We're already
time will come
halfway
and
through this year. Like we're already
it's
almost halfway.
insane. Yeah, a year is going to come and go, whether you choose to actively fix this or not. So you can spend another year and just be in the same place, or you can take the risk. And like, how much of a risk is it really?
Oh, really? Just
Yeah,
what could you what's going to be worse than where you're already at? Like that's how I see it. Like what could be worse? You can learn just one thing and then that can make things better for the long run.
totally. I always tell people, I'm like, the like the worst thing that will happen is you'll learn. Like that is the worst thing that can possibly happen. Like we're not going to make you sick. We're not going to make you gain 30 pounds. Like what is it really? What like, and really figuring out the root of like, what are you so afraid of? Is that thing actually going to happen? No, then let's do this.
I love that. I could just keep talking to you for
I
another like
know.
5 hours. I think we'll have to like redo another one. But thank you so much for joining me and chatting to me today. Please let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh my gosh. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm Leor Kelly Wellness. That's Leor Kelly wellness. And there are dots in between that. Hold on. I'm like making sure that this is right. Yeah.
Multitasking.
LEEOR.KELLY.wellness. Isn't that horrible? I don't even know my own wellness. My own handle. You can find me there. That's where I'm there the most. Yeah, I'm on like Facebook too, but Instagram is where you can find me for sure. Shoot me a message, ask me questions. I like love chatting with people there, and no question is a foolish one because I have literally been there.
Yeah, guys, for both of us, there is no TMI, just ask
Yeah.
the thing and we will share with you. Yeah, love Leo's page. She says she shares some amazing content too, so you can always learn something from her. I love that with different coaches, you get different perspectives, you learn different things. Like it's always like never ending, which is wonderful. So thank you so much for joining me, everyone listening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll pop all of Leo's details in the descriptions below. And if you love this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please follow. Super excited to have you guys here. I'll catch you on the next one.